In other news, a Brownsville jury has convicted a 34-year-old Mexican national of capital murder in the 2014 killing of off-duty Border Patrol agent. Gustavo Tijerina Sandoval could face the death penalty in the killing of Javier Vega Jr., who was fatally shot during a family fishing trip in southeast Texas. His sentencing was today. According to the Brownsville Herald, Tijerina Sandoval was also convicted Wednesday of attempted capital murder for shooting and wounding Vega's father. Prosecutors say the shooting happened as part of an attempted robbery, but Tijerina Sandoval's attorney argued his client was acting in self-defense. A Border Patrol chief's panel initially rejected Vega's death as in the line of duty, but the decision was changed after authorities determined Vega pulled his gun trying to protect others.